Please.
Hi, my question is with regarding the inactive ingredients. Now that, you know, the Office of Generic Drug does have a non-clinical group, is there any effort to look at use of new excipients in generic drugs? You know, because I think we are missing a humongous opportunity. I mean, you know, they help us go through, you know, subvert patents. There are excellent new excipients that have come out, and this IID, which is phenomenal, I love it, but otherwise is kind of holding back generics in many ways. I know it's not easy, but is there even a thought about it?
Too specific?
Okay, maybe let me try to answer the question. Let me first summarize the question. It's about new excipient to be submitted in ANDAs instead of the NDA pathway, right? So currently the regulation that for generic drug products, we don't evaluate the safety data. So if you have safety data, for example, if you are using new excipient and then you need to submit safety data, right, that goes to NDA. So that's the current regulation. I don't think we have a lot of discussion regarding this at this point, but thank you for the suggestion.
Thank you. Any question in-house, please? Are you coming up for a question, sir?
Now, may I have the permission to throw you a curveball?
Permission granted.
You're talking about the acceptability of incipients. How about interactions of incipients with the API? I'm going to share something with you that for you is prehistory. That is the interaction of tetracycline with a citrate buffer, which in the presence of ultraviolet light creates a charge transfer complex that causes a Fanconi-like syndrome. When the incipient was removed and exchanged, that no longer happened. This is a very important part of pharmacology history. It goes back to the 60s.
Thank you for the example. There are cases that we are aware of regarding the interaction between the excipient and the API. So for cases that we are aware of, we do evaluate from the safety perspective.
Okay, but you're not actively looking into testing that.
So only for cases that we are aware of. If we are not aware of such kind of interaction, we are not evaluating.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. And just as a reminder, you know, let's have general questions, less specific questions, perhaps.
Brenda, I'm sorry. I can follow up with that.
Oh, okay.
quickly. So, I mean, we do have cases in-house, say for sugar alcohols that affect absorption of the API. So for those that are published that we are fully aware of, we do take some of those into consideration, but you know, as we gain more information, definitely that's something that is part of our general practices. But the one that comes to mind right off is the sugar alcohols.
Thank you. Let's do one online first.
Sure.
Online question, please.
All right, this question is for Dr. Greene. Is the uni specific to each excipient required in a controlled correspondence, or CC?
I'll repeat the question. Is the uni specific to the inactive ingredient in a controlled correspondence?
They had written each excipient required in a controlled correspondence.
Is the uni specific to each excipient in a controlled correspondence?
Yes.
Is it needed? It is very helpful. Yes, it is very helpful, particularly because of what Dr. Dorsey presented on earlier. Many times there are different grades of an excipient. So having a Unicode to specifically identify the excipient that is queried would be very helpful. Many times, if that is not the case, as I presented earlier, we will evaluate based on what is submitted to us. If there are inconsistencies, that is, if they mention, and I'm speaking very, very hypothetically here, let's say they mention hypromellose and they have a Unicode that does not correspond to that grade of hypromellose, that will be an inconsistency, and that will cause a slowdown in our evaluation, because we would need to submit a correspondence to the applicant asking them to clarify which grade of the excipient that they're referring to. And as Dr. Yang presented earlier, different excipients have different molecular weights, have different viscosities, have different chemical characteristics. So they are largely considered when doing evaluations for acceptability. I hope I answered the question for the person that asked the question. Thank you.
Thank you. In-house, please.
Hi, my question is that as we know, the MDE should be evaluated by different content of use, but however, this kind of detail is not disclosed in the IID database. So how should we be aware of this kind of question in the early stage of the development stage?
Thank you for your question. So we understand that there is a limitation of IID, only provide dose and then route of administration. Then there is a proprietary information for the context of the patient population and the duration of use. Unfortunately, this is not disclosed, so this question will be easier for the applicant to submit the controlled correspondence before you start to choose your correct the MDE or the dose of the excipient.
But how should we be efficiently communicating with FDA? Because in the drug product, there are a lot of excipient in the product, right?
So usually when I receive some question about this regard of this question, you can search the dose, you can search your excipient and then same route, then there's a list of the MDE provided. And then usually in some case, the highest MDE sometimes is approved for the acute use. So just keep in mind that there is a list of the dose. So you can choose at one time the 3 MDE can ask currently. So maybe you choose the wider range of the MDE listed in the IID, then ask which one is acceptable or acceptable for your generic, your developing product. Then we will provide certain range, or if you need some or additional safety justification. So we will provide multiple possible options for applicant to address this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions in-house? Okay, online, please.
All right, this question is for Dr. Dorsey. What body surface area, or BSA, should be used to calculate when the MDD is not specified in the RLD label?
Thank you for that question. So for the adult population, we do have a standard body surface area that we use. I believe it's 1.62. But of course, that the water gets a little murky as that relates to the pediatric population. But for adults, currently it's 1.62. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next question online, please.
Of course. This one is for Dr. Yang. I am developing a topical drug product. Can I propose different excipients in generic topical product than that in the reference drug product? What is the recommended safety justification?
Thank you for your question. Yes, today I didn't cover the topical product. A topical product also, there's no requirement of the excipient, so you can use different excipient than the used in the R&D, but you still need to provide some safety justification whether this does not alter the safety profile. So safety can be leveraged by some general toxicity, non-clinical information, and if your product is used chronically, multiple application, and then we also consider some local toxicity, the limitation and the sensitization potential of the excipient should be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. In-house question, please.
Thank you for the presentations. So one question also to novel excipient. So if excipient is in the pilot program for the review of innovation and modernization of excipients and is considered safe there, is it then possible to submit or to use this excipient in an ANDA, or still only possible through the NDA way?
So if an excipient has not been used in any of the approved drug products, it will go to the NDA pathway.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Any in-house questions? Okay, online, please.
Question is to Dr. Williams-Greene. Inactive ingredients meeting the MDE, however, not meeting the maximum potency unit dose in milligrams. In this case, is the controlled correspondence required to submit to FDA by the applicant?
Allow me to repeat the question. If the proposed per unit amount exceeds what the MDE amount is?
I can repeat the question. So the inactive ingredient meets the MDE, however, does not meet the maximum potency unit dose in milligrams. In this case, is the controlled correspondence required to be submitted to FDA by the applicant?
So if the inactive ingredient meets the MDE level, when we say meet, I want to make a soft assumption, meaning it is acceptable, it is an acceptable level, MDE level, but it is exceeding the proposed per unit level, is that the question?
Yes.
Okay, then that will be, and then the follow-up question is that a question that comes through a CC inquiry?
Yes.
Yes, that is a question that comes through CC inquiry, and I'm going to say that's a yes to that, because we are evaluating acceptability of proposed levels. So even if an excipient is not in the RLD product, and an applicant is developing this generic product, and that excipient, we compare it to the RLD. If it's not in the RLD, we look at other approved products. So if that level is acceptable in other approved products for the same route of administration and et cetera, context of use, then that level will still be deemed acceptable.
I think that's clear. Yes, thank you. Next online question, please.
All right, and this question for you as well, Dr. Williams-Greene. Are excipients with multiple subcomponents evaluated for acceptability?
No, excipients such as flavors are not, we do not evaluate subcomponents of an excipient at the control correspondence level. It can send the wrong message that the entire excipient or the excipient as a whole is acceptable. So we are averse to that, but you're welcome to submit an individual excipient, which should be in the IID.
And I'll follow up to that one as well. Within the guidance to industry for the control correspondences, we tried to detail that we have no problem at all looking at those subcomponents. However, that will not give you the acceptability of, say, a flavor as a whole, because we're only seeing a snapshot of your formulation, right, at that stage. So until it comes in the door and we have a chance to really look and make a safety profile for that drug product. And probably since it's a new flavor, the DNF review hasn't even been conducted yet. So we have no problem at all looking at reviewing subcomponents, but just because we say, hey, A, B, and C within that flavor is fine, that doesn't give you a carte blanche for the new flavor as a whole.
Thank you. Any in-house? Let's wake up. We got one more session to go. Any in-house questions? Okay, let's go back to online, please.
This question is for Dr. Yang. How is the duration of use determined for chronic versus acute? Is there a specific number of days of use that determines this?
Thank you for your question. We usually the duration of use, we considering the chronic and then acute, or sometimes it's intermediate. So when you consider the chronic is so the short-term use will be acute use will be considered 2 weeks. The acute 2 weeks of the administration, and intermediate term will be below the 10 year, 1 year to 10 years, something like that. But there is no any clear cut of the timeline. But for our perspective, non-clinical perspective, we are considering the chronic use. It's more than 10 years. It's a chronic use, and then non-clinical study we accepted at least 3 months, and or the 1 year, 2 year toxicity study, we consider to leverage the chronic use.
Thank you. We have 5 minutes left. If there are no in-house questions, let's just go for it on the online questions, please.
Of course. This next question is for Dr. Liu. Is there a plan to add context of use to the IID?
Thank you for the question. I understand that this is a concern for many people. So there has been discussion about adding some sort of pediatric information in the database, but it's at the very beginning stage. Like we are not sure whether it's going to happen or not. But we heard you. We are discussing some kind of a possible update of the database. Thank you.
Thank you. And my next question for you, Dr. Liu. Are all the inactive ingredients in approved drug products included in the IID?
That's also a very good question. So the excipients in the IID, it's not an exhaustive list. So which means there are excipients we don't publish in the database. We try to avoid disclosing some kind of a proprietary information there. And also, if you notice, right, we just removed FDNC3, right, the one that you saw it on the news, like it's unsafe. So we don't have those kind of, we don't disclose confidential information. We don't publish unsafe ingredient. And also there are some very, very old applications that we cannot really verify the information, the formulation. So we don't publish that either. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for that response. My next question is for Dr. Dorsey. In what ways would the harmonization of some aspects of IIG evaluation possibly benefit industry long-term?
Thank you for that question. These are common excipients that are used around the globe for many different drug products. And if we're all, I guess I should say, calculating the MDD from the maximum daily dose within the drug labels, We have slight nuances as to how we go about those calculations. And this project is kind of in its infancy, but we would like to see if there's some way that we could pool together with our cluster members to try to harmonize that in some way. Alleviating the burden, making it a little bit easier. I know that I calculated MDE this way, and I can now submit an application to several different jurisdictions and be assured that it's the same throughout. So that's the goal, the goal. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are at 2:40. We will break now until 3 p.m. Thank you to our illustrious panel and all those questions.